Hello and welcome to the Superwomen Wellness Connection channel. My name is Kim Goldtom and I'm so excited to be featuring a Superwoman to share some of her journey to help inspire and empower you today. And today I have with us Tabitha Patterson. Tabitha, welcome.
Hello, and thank you. Thanks for having me on. This is very exciting.
I'm so excited. This is so great. And for those of you who have never met Tabitha, let me just tell you a little bit about what you are about to embark on over the next 15-20 minutes. She is the owner of Earth Mother Wellness, and she does private coaching, energy work, as well as business consulting. And that's just the high-level version of what she does. I'll let her explain more about her company that she's created and all the amazing things she does. But I would love for you, Tabitha, to share with everybody a little bit about your company and then how this came to fruition for you to embark on this path.
Sure. Oh wow, those are big questions. So so I originally started Earth Mother Wellness in 2015 and then had to kind of put it on pause because I took a job overseas and I picked it back up again, restarted the company in 2018, and I offer a variety of things. I call myself an energy worker because I have studied at this point so many different types of energy healing, and I also kind of bring my own intuitive energy work in with it. So I'm a Reiki master, Karuna Reiki master, attuned to Edgar Cayce's Egyptian energy healing. I have taken classes on like a form of energy healing using like Chinese like acupressure points. Anyway, I've weaved a lot of things together. So I don't call it, it's not purely like any one thing. So I just call it energy work. Because whatever comes to me, I'm a very intuitive worker. Whether I'm working with the client or crystals or whether I'm concocting in my kitchen. I also do a lot with aromatherapy. I just kind of intuitively go to like what I'm called toward. So it's kind of become its own thing. So I just say energy work. I offer individual sessions right now during the time that is COVID, doing a lot of distance work, which is the nice thing about energy work is that you can connect to people remotely and still have really powerful outcomes. I do one-on-one coaching to kind of help people, and that's really honestly customized to what the person is looking for. Like, are they looking to open up their energy systems? Are they looking to deepen their intuition? Are they looking to deal with something difficult that's going on in their life? So it kind of, what we do in those sessions kind of depends on the person. And then I also do consulting started off with large business. After I left the corporate world, I did consulting with the company that I used to work for. But then I've also been doing consulting with smaller companies, like smaller, like women-owned businesses and things like that. I teach classes by request. So I teach Reiki classes. I teach classes on plant communication, plant energy, and I will also, by request, make people essential oil blends to help them. So you can use essential oils medicinally.
Nice.
But something that some people know, and I think a lot of people still don't know, is that you can use them metaphysically as well. So the oils have energy, and they can, just like crystals. So that's probably a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Like crystals, you can use them energetically. And so I will custom blend for people by request as well. I covered a lot, sorry.
No, that's great.
So
that's
how
fantastic.
I got into this is kind of a longer story. I'll try to kind of be brief with it. Obviously, it just depends how far back you want to go. I've always been kind of interested in crystal. Like I always thought crystal when I was like young, thought crystals were really pretty. I was attracted to crystals. I was really into astrology as a child, but never really questioned or thought of like going into this type. I didn't even know like this path existed. Do you know what I mean? Like I went to school for psychology. I got a master's in clinical community psychology because I wanted to help people. And that was the way at that point in time that I knew how to help people. It was like, oh, well, I'll help them make realizations and see their patterns and like all these things, because I didn't know this other path was there.
Yeah.
And then once I realized this other path was there, I also never imagined myself, if you had told me 10 years ago that I would be doing this now, I would have laughed. I'd be like, whatever, get out of here. Because once I discovered that the path existed, I didn't see myself on the path. Do you know what I mean? So I first got introduced to Reiki energy work in 2009. And I was receiving it, and I knew that it felt good, and I knew it was making a difference in my life. But it kind of snuck up on me. So the person that I was going to see started mentoring me. She started teaching me things, and I'm going to teach you how to work with this crystal. I'm going to teach you how to work with these oracle cards, and it's kind of. And I had like several mentors along the way. I even remember like learning from, like, you really opened up my eyes when you did that house clearing for Lisa, because you made me a believer. I tested a couple things that a couple of golden nuggets that you shared with me, one concerning mirrors in particular, that just like opened up my eyes and like made me even more of a believer. Because I believed in energy, but somehow, I don't know, like somehow I couldn't really wrap my head around feng shui. But then I tried a couple of these things, and I noticed like things happened, energy shifted, and I was like, oh, like, that's really cool. And so some of it is just really like practical application. Like you do it and you see the result of it, and then you're like, oh, like I want to repeat that. Like that was really cool. Like let's do that again. And so again, various mentors along the way, and people telling me, oh, like you really have like a natural gift for this. Like you should go into this work. Like you can do this work. And I'd be like, oh, no. Like I'm just here to, work on myself. Like I don't see myself being a healer. I don't see myself working with other people. And, I think after people telling you enough times, like you have a knack for this, like it starts to sink in a little bit. And then I had a really rough time. It was 2014. Well, so 2013 leading into 2014, I was just really miserable at work. Like I did not like my job. I felt stuck. I felt trapped. I was like, how do I get out of this? And then my solution to that was, okay, my job life sucks, but I need to make my personal life like my sanctuary. And so outside of work, I'm just going to start doing things that I love. And so I joined the yoga studio. I took a pranayama weekend workshop. I flew to Arizona and took a class on metaphysical properties of oils. And actually, that was the following year. Okay. So this year of like, I'm going to do what I love. I took Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. And then I started getting into essential oils through the yoga studio, because they had brought in oils to the studio, and I really was not familiar with them prior to that. And then really got into their medicinal properties. Then that following January, flew out to Arizona, did the metaphysical workshop.
Nice.
And it was interesting because after Reiki 1, I had like zero confidence. I was just like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm doing, like this, is something happening? I don't know. But then after Reiki 2, it was like a switch flipped, and it was just, I was really seeing, and when you're doing energy work, it's the person, you're not healing the person, the person is healing themselves. You're really just a channel for this energy. If anything, you're working with the person. Yeah. But it was like after Reiki 2, I started to see like working with people, even in distance sessions, like I would pick up something, I would feel something on my end, and then I would talk to them after, and they would describe like the sensations and what happened and what they saw or what they felt, and it would mirror exactly what my experience was. And so that was validating. It was exciting because it was like, wow, how is this possible? But then it was also like, something's really happening. And like, there is this, I say magic is really just science that we can't explain yet or can't understand yet. So these things that seem magical, it's like, well, there's an explanation. We're just not at a point in our society scientifically yet where we can fully like measure and explain all of these things. But it was just starting to have more confidence. And then that confidence between 2015 and now, I mean, has grown like exponentially. Like every new tool that I could add to the tool belt, whether it was, I've taken several classes in medicinal herbalism, and also just like understanding, some of those classes are strictly like medical applications, but some of them do go into the more like energetic and metaphysical applications, you know, of those plants, like the more magical side. And so, yeah, I think just as women too, like kind of like the culture that we're in, like we are kind of fed to be, like we're fed to not have confidence, like we're fed to not feel that we can assert ourselves, that we can speak our voice, that we can be in our truth and be in our power. And so I think the trend in general, like as women in this day and age, is that once we hit our 30s, like mid 30s, like that's when that really starts to like rev up, you know. And now being in my early 40s, like I feel very like comfortable and confident standing in my power. And so I think that also, there was like that natural progression over the last decade, but then also just being more comfortable with having done something for a longer period of time, and knowing the impact of what you're doing and seeing the impact and having the validation, that also like fosters that feeling of confidence. And so in beginning of 2019, I left my corporate job, thinking I could just kind of with my business, and then COVID kind of shifted things a little bit. But I'm happy with where I am. I'm happy with where things are. I'm currently in a 200-hour yoga teacher training, which I want to be able to add that in with the one-on-one work with my clients, because yoga is a great, I don't even want to call it like activity. It's a way of life. But yoga is just such a wonderful avenue from the physical world into the inner body, and to clear your energy. And when our energy is clear, we are able to manifest. We are able to do so many amazing things in our life when we approach it with a clear field. So I'm excited to incorporate that as well. I feel like everything's kind of like happening at its own time, like in its own pace. But yeah, that's a little bit about my journey, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And so many different layers and really dynamic. And so based on what you're doing right now with finishing up the yoga teacher training, you know, what would be the next step?
Yeah, so I'm partially still trying to find that out. I do have a website where people can view my services and get in contact with me if they want to book any of my services. So that I launched that last year, relaunched the business in the fall of 2018, launched the website last year, and I've been seeing clients like, you know, throughout this whole time.
Of course.
But yeah, I'm not, so the kind of how I envisioned the yoga working was that I would be able to use it with my clients one-on-one, but now being in the yoga program and only having 6 weeks of training left, you know, I'm not completely opposed to maybe even teaching a small class. So I'm just, you know, interested to see how it evolves, like what, you know, what opportunities present themselves, kind of how it takes its own life of its own shape, of what that ends up looking like. Because, you know, we have a plan, right? And then things always turn out differently. So, so we'll see. I actually got another energy work certification about a month ago as a moon mother. So that's a type of healing where you're working specifically with women and specifically with the womb space area, which is where most women carry so much trauma. You know, and that trauma manifests itself in physical ways. So
sure,
it could be, you know, irregular periods, painful periods, PCOS, endometriosis, infertility. And they're big T traumas and little T traumas, you know,
Sure.
something like a rape or a miscarriage or an abortion, you know, big T trauma. And then that specifically affecting that area of the body. But even little T traumas can get stored in that area of the body. So
Sure.
I was very honored to be able to take this training and to bring this work forth in the world and to incorporate it with the work that I'm already doing, because I think it's so important. But even with that, like I might have an opportunity to actually offer that service through a company that I currently do some side contract business work for. So, you know, opportunities present themselves, and you just kind of have to see like what overall shape things take as a result of that. So not 100% sure what my business will look like in a year from now, but I know that I'm being led down the right path. So I have a talk coming up next month, April 4th. I'll be doing it right here from my husband's office with his Star Wars background. So
Woohoo!
Star Wars Day.
Yes.
I think it's kind of fitting because my talk is on plant energies, plant communication, and so, you know, the force.
Yes.
In every living thing. So I think it's kind of fitting to do the talk from here.
Yeah.
And that's through the Alchemist Kitchen. They're based in New York. And that, to me, that's been one of the most amazing things about the pandemic. I would not have been able to take, so first of all, I would have not been connected with the Alchemist Kitchen and some of these great astrologers that I've met over the last year. I took astrology courses last year from people in New York and Oregon, and the training that I did last month was actually taking place in Germany. So I was able to do it from the comfort of my own home, which has just been one of the lovely things, because it makes things accessible that weren't accessible before, you know.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about like travel and hotel and booking a plane ticket, and, you know, so even financially accessible, let alone like geographically accessible.
Yeah.
It's like these connections that I've made with people globally. That's the nice thing that I feel like about what's going on in the world currently.
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. Oh, and that's so many exciting things. And we'll definitely make sure in the description of the video that we have the link for anyone who wants to attend your talk that you're doing for the Alchemist Kitchen, as well as your website and any other links that you might have for people so that they can connect with you on social media. And so if you could share, you know, a few tips for those who are watching, they're resonating with everything you're saying, they're looking to feel more inspired and empowered in the year of 2021, what would you be able to share for them today?
Yeah. Well, I know, again, follow your bliss is like a big one, but no, practical tips to share. I would say cleansing and protecting your energy field is so important. Because I think a lot of people, and I include myself in this, like not now, but maybe myself like 10 years ago, and actually even progressively for myself over time, like I've made more and more and more connections and realizations, even as recently as like last year, of like, oh man, like when I was, you know, 12 and this happened, like that wasn't actually, I was being impacted by someone else's emotions, you know? And so a lot of people are empathic, and they either don't realize it or they're realizing it now because there's so much language and discussion around it, but they don't realize to what extent, like how deep that goes.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're new to it, or if you're just discovering it, or even if you've been doing it for a while, it's like you don't realize that, especially if you've been this way your whole life, right? If you've always been an empathic person, you don't realize that something that you're feeling is not yours.
Yes.
So you'll have an emotion, like it could be anxiety. Some people get physical stuff, like they'll get headaches or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't know that you're prone to, that energy works that way, and that you're prone to picking up something or sensing something that somebody else is, then how can you really deal with it if you don't know the source? You know, because I started noticing, once I started realizing, and this was maybe like around 2012, 2013, once I started realizing like emotions weren't mine, like I'd be at my desk at work and all of a sudden out of nowhere, I start feeling anxious. And I feel like, this is so weird. Like, I know I'm not anxious. Like there's no reason for me to be anxious.
Uh-huh.
And then I would look around and it like, I have like no other way to describe this other than to say, like, I'd be like, oh my God, it's her.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, once I would make this realization, it would kind of like lift and it would like be gone.
Yeah.
Another example, I had a friend who was going through a divorce, and she gave me a pair of boots.
Uh-oh.
I did not, I should have known better, because I knew you at this point. And I should have done my little Tibetan clearing of the shoes. But I did not. And I wore them to work, and I just was feeling, all of a sudden, it just hit me in the afternoon, like, I have not been myself today. I feel like, I almost feel like a despair. Like, I just am just so down and depressed and blue. And I also had like no reason to feel this way. And then I don't know what it was, but the click went off and I was like, oh my God, it's the boots. I didn't cleanse the boots. Not only did I cleanse them when I got home, but I got rid of them too.
Yeah. Cleanse them for the new owner. Good deal.
Right,
I like it.
right.
I like it.
So, but it's like this idea of just like cleansing your field. And there's so many different ways to do that. Meditation is a great way to do that. There are several, even if you just go on YouTube and look up aura clearing meditation or cord cutting meditation. Some people see energy in terms of like cords that connect us to other people. Everyone kind of, picks up things differently, but just to clear your energetic field really on a daily basis. Like, do I do it daily? No. Should I do it daily? Yes. Everyone should do it daily.
Just like drinking water.
Exactly. Clear your energy field. And there are so many meditations out there, because thoughts have energy, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
One of the people that I follow, Denise Lynn, she wrote a fantastic book, Energy Strands, and she gives an example in the beginning of the book. She was having a conversation with a woman who she was having a difficult time with. There was some tension in the relationship, and she was like, okay, how can I like have this be, what's the word I'm looking for? How can I bring like some compassion or grace or whatever to this conversation? And so she just envisioned like a huge rose, like between the two of them, between her and the person she was speaking to. And her daughter was maybe like 3 at the time, came in the room, was like, oh, pretty flower.
Oh, wow.
And so it's like thoughts have energy, and some people are more, especially young children, are more in tune with like seeing things, or however, there's so many different ways to pick up information, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. And that's a whole other discussion of like, once you realize that how you pick up information too, and I can go into that like really briefly, but let me stick with this for a moment. So cleansing your energy field, you can do that through meditation. You can do that with the help of crystals, with the help of essential oils, with the help of, you can just smudge yourself with sage. There are so many different tools out there. One of my favorite is a good salt bath, where you take 2 to 4 cups of salt, put it in your bath water. You can add crystals as long as they're water safe. Please check that first.
Right.
Put crystals to your water. Same thing with essential oils. Check the safety first, and then always add them either to a little bit of oil or a little bit of whole milk, because essential oils love lipid, and if you do not give them something to bind to, they will bind to your skin. I found that out the hard way. Yes. Prior to taking the class in Arizona, I had purchased a handful of oils from the yoga studio, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it just be lovely to just take like a nice relaxing bath with some clary sage? And I came out of there like a lobster, and it was so hard to like like wash the burn off because, you know, like it just, yeah, the soap wasn't really helping.
Right. Oh dear.
Some of these things, again, like practical and experiential, like some of them, it's like, oh, this is great. And some things you learn the hard way. But really, I encourage you not to learn the hard way. First.
Yes.
Do your research, whether it's crystals, whether it's oils, whatever it is, safety first.
Yes.
But yes, a good salt bath, like steep in that, you know, relax in that for 20 minutes, and then make sure you drink lots of water afterward. But salt and sage too, but salt is one of those great things that it detoxifies your body physically and energetically. And I mean, to some degree, we really can't separate like the energetic from the physical.
Right.
But so piece of advice number 1, cleanse. Piece of advice number 2, protect. Again, you can do that through visualization. You can do that through the help of crystals, you don't need anything outside of yourself, but it can be very helpful, especially in the beginning, to have tools. And all of these tools are right here on Mother Earth, which is why I need business, Earth Mother Wellness.
I love that.
So utilize, you know, the little spirits and beings and energies that we have available to us. So work with the crystals, work with the oils, work with plant materials, work with talismans, whatever works for you, but protect your energy daily. And then my third piece of advice would just be, you know, be kind to your body, be kind to the inside of your body, you know? So yeah, it's kind of like if you walk around and you say, oh, you know, I'm going to only use like organic skincare and my deodorant is aluminum free. And like, I'm so finicky about, you know, I don't wear perfume because it has chemicals and it has endocrine disruptors in it. Well, then make sure that you're also eating clean food. So yes, don't say like, hey, I'm gonna, you know, use this organic skincare and not wear, you know, deodorant, but then like you're eating, you know, completely non-organic, deep fried. And I'm not saying that stuff is bad all the time. Like if you want to, you know, like every once in a while go out and like splurge and like give in to your craving and buy like a donut or some fried food or whatever, like by all means. But I'm just saying, like in general, like yeah, if you have this holistic approach to the outside of your body, yeah, you have to have that same holistic approach to the inside of your body. And again, like it's hard to disconnect like the physical from the energetic. So like on a physical level, it's just healthy, right? But then on an energetic level, like I do give into the Chinese medicine kind of philosophy of like which emotions we store in which organs, and you know, how we store anger in the liver and grief in the lungs and fear in the kidneys. Like I totally buy into all of that. Like it's just what resonates with me. But yeah, like be kind to your organs, be kind to your body, be kind to your system. Like it doesn't work to live organically just on the integumentary system, but then inorganically like inside of your body. It all, you know, we need to have like health going on in like all of the parts, outside and inside. Yes, so absolutely. That would be my like third piece of advice.
Awesome. I love that, because that's one of those layers that I think sometimes is a huge, not that the other two layers aren't, but it's less obvious, right? Mm-hmm. People are just so used to whatever they grew up eating, what they grab off the grocery store shelf, and they don't even realize what's in it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's a nice reminder.
Yeah. And then going back really quickly to just like how we all perceive. So we all have like extra sensory perception. Like we all, like it's a matter of like, some people it comes very, very naturally to, and they like never have to really try to like hone it in or like take a class or training or anything. And then other people, I feel like, you know, the more you practice it, like the more your gifts open, the more you're able to perceive. But we all have like some natural degree. Like it's, you know, it's like some people have a lot, some people have like very little, but we all have something, and we all have a little bit of each type of, you know, way to perceive information. But, you know, it's like with the plant communication, if you are sitting with a plant and all of a sudden you have this flashback to, you know, when you were 8 years old and you fell off your bike and you scraped your knee, like that could be useful information. That could be a communication. Like one of the classes that I took with Asia Suler, she actually had this example in her class. She'd ask people, you know, to sit with the plant and see what information they got. And, you know, some people would have like very vivid, like this is what the plant shared with me, or this is what I felt. And this one guy was like, oh yeah, no, not working. Like I didn't get anything. My mind like drifted off to some memory. Oh, lo and behold, like the plant actually was good for scrapes and cuts and bruises. And so like, he was perceiving the information, but he didn't realize that he was perceiving the information. So going back to what I was saying too about just like being empathic and like not knowing the full extent of that.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't know how you receive information, but you just like kind of know things a lot of the time, or you like feel things a lot of the time, but you're like, oh no, like I don't have any gifts, like I'm not psychic, I don't see things, like I'm not clairvoyant. But there are so many other ways to perceive information around you. And so to maybe just start to like with fresh eyes kind of assess like, like maybe I am more, you know, in tune with things than I think I am. And I think, you know, it's funny, I just had an aha moment looking back to when I very first was introduced to the stuff like back in 2009, some of the stuff anyway. The person I was working with was very clairvoyant. And I've always been someone who just like knows things or like feels things. Like it, like going like even like back to before meeting her, before any of this, like I would just be like, oh no, like I have a bad feeling, don't do that. And so it's like I know things or I feel things, and I think maybe even at the time, just kind of like comparing myself to her and the work that she was doing, it was like, oh no, I don't see things, like I'm not psychic. But it's like that's just only one form of perceiving your environment.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's another thing over the years that I've learned is that there's so, like I have my own gifts and abilities, and there's so many different ways to perceive.
That's wonderful. I love that. That is really great. Thank you. So for those out there that would like to learn more about you or connect with you, could you share your social media information? And again, I will have it in the description below,
Sure.
but if you could share that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so my website is earth-mother-wellness.com. I'm on Instagram, even though I don't really post that often. I'm on Instagram as Earth Mother Wellness. I also have a Facebook page under Earth Mother Wellness, and I am on Clubhouse at Earth Mama T.
Cool. Nice. Thank you. Well,
yeah, feel free to connect with me on Clubhouse, or you can even send my email address is earthmotherwellness@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, feel free.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time today. You've been very generous with your time and generous with sharing so many actionable tips and layers that people might not even realize are there and how it's impacting them. And so I really appreciate you being here and sharing all of this for empowerment for others today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. And you've been instrumental, you know, in my journey as well, because like I said, just those little nuggets that I learned way back from that house clearing really made an impact. I tell a lot of people my mirror story.
Yay! Well, thank you. That's fantastic. Well, thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you.